Shalom, welcome to another installment of JewTube on ChabadByTheSea.com. Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest of all the Talmudic sages, started studying Torah at 40 years old. From that time until he passed away at a ripe old age of 120, he put together tens of thousands of students. At one point, 24,000 of his students died in a terrible plague, which the Talmud says was a result of their not treating each other with the proper respect. On the day of BaOmer, the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, that plague stopped. So on the 33rd day of the Omer, of course, we have a great big party, and we go out into the field and get together with children and community. Santa Cruz is no different. We get together at Seabright Beach every year. This year it's going to be Sunday at 4 o'clock at Seabright Beach. We have a big picnic, and everybody, of course, is encouraged to participate. There's another reason we celebrate BaOmer, which is one of the greatest of all of Rabbi Akiva's students was, of course, the great Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the author of the most fundamental body of Kabbalistic work known as the Zohar. Interestingly, one of the practices, one of the traditions, if you will, of BaOmer is that children play with bow and arrow. Now, why would we play with bow and arrow? Well, there are different explanations given, of course, as with anything in Judaism. One of the reasons given is that with a bow, unlike other weapons of the time, the bow has the unique characteristic in that it needs to be drawn very near to yourself in order for it to propel and to travel far distances away from yourself, to reach the other. Now, the same is true with the various forms of Torah. What Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai contributed to our experience of Torah study is that in order to have your Torah study reach great distances and accomplish great things, it needs to be drawn from deep within you. It needs to come from the soul. Just as the Kabbalah is the soul of Torah, the mitzvahs that we do are propelled by drawing deep within our souls. Now, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai spent 12 years in a cave with his son Elazar, after very, very strongly speaking out against the Roman government at the time. For his troubles, he had a price put on his head, and he spent 12 years in hiding. After those 12 years in hiding, he and his son emerged from the cave and were ready to go back to normal life because the emperor had died. And as they emerged from the cave, they were very critical of the people that they saw because they seemed to be engaged in mundane activities, plowing fields and such. And everything they looked at, the Talmud says, was instantly incinerated. And a voice came forth from heaven and said, "That's what you're going to do, destroy my world? Go back to your cave." So they went back into the cave for another 12 months. And in that 12 months they studied again, and then after that year they emerged, and this time, wherever Rabbi Elazar would look, Rabbi Shimon would heal, and wherever Rabbi Shimon would look with a negative eye, Rabbi Elazar would heal. So there was healing along with the criticism. Then one day we're told, they were walking, it was almost Shabbat, and they saw a man running with 2 myrtle branches in his hand. And they stopped him and said, "What are the myrtle branches for?" And the man said, "Well, it's in honor of Shabbat." They said, "Well, why don't you have 2? Why isn't one enough?" And the man said, "Because Shabbat is celebrated in 2 ways, by giving and by withdrawing, by guarding and by respecting. Shamor v'zachor. There's the yin and the yang, the give and the take, the love and the discipline." And Rabbi Shimon said to his son, "You see how dear mitzvahs are to people." And after that experience, their minds were at ease, and they were again able to assimilate into the community of mankind and the Jewish community without the criticism. So the lessons that we learn from BaOmer and from the lives of Rabbi Shimon and from the Kabbalah that he taught and from the lives of Rabbi Akiva and his students all basically point to the same thing. If we draw deep into our souls, we'll recognize that our souls and the souls of our fellow Jew are the same, And if we recognize the similarity between my soul and your soul, then we've bridged the gap between us. And when there is no longer a gap between us, we can accomplish incredible things, incredibly great things. In fact, when there is no longer a gap between us, when there's no longer distance between Jews, we can bring Mashiach, and we can make the world the perfect place that we know it can be, that we're told it can be, and that we're promised it will be as the result of our efforts. So Shabbat Shalom, have a wonderful Lag BaOmer. We sincerely hope you can make it to Seabright Beach at 4 o'clock on Sunday, and we look forward to seeing you there. Shabbat Shalom.